What should you do after you've fasted? Let's talk about the refeeding process. If you're fasting, you're probably already aware of how much evidence there is that fasting or modified fasting is good for your brain, good for your longevity, good for your weight, for your hormones, and even for your cancer and heart disease and diabetes risk. Your body is now very finely tuned after a fast because autophagy has kicked in, breaking down the defective parts of cells and clearing them out. Imagine that you're just vibrating at a higher frequency. You're calmer and clearer, you're lighter, you're running clean. But then you finish your fast, whether it be a day or 3 days or 2 weeks, what do you do afterward? It's a very important question. You just went to some major effort to do some cleanup in your body and you don't want to mess it up. So the worst thing you can do is celebrate the end of your fast with a big plate of nachos and a couple beers for a couple of reasons. For one, you're gonna feel like crap. You always feel like crap when you eat a plate of nachos and a couple of beers or whatever your own personal dietary sins are, but you're gonna feel extra crappy if you do that after fasting for a few days, because when your organs of elimination are cleaned up and working the best they have in a long time, when you throw a plate of nachos and 2 beers at them all, they're going to let you know how they feel about it. Expect to feel much worse than you even normally do when you eat a meal that's too big and too fatty and sugary, like cheese and fried chips and processed meat and alcohol. Let me tell you what researchers have learned about the refeeding process after fasting. Dr. Longo of USC, I mentioned that he's one of the most prolific fasting researchers out there. Dr. Longo told me that autophagy, when you're fasting, is like you're on a wood-burning train. Let's say your train isn't gonna make it to the station. It doesn't have enough fuel because you're fasting. So what do? You tear out a couple of chairs in the cabin of the train, a couple of chairs that look pretty worn out anyway, and you chop them up and you throw them into the fire that fuels the engine. That'll get you from here to there. But what do you do when you get to the station? Of course, you got to rebuild those chairs in the cabin. And when you get to the station, metaphorically at the end of your fast, your body is looking to rebuild the broken parts. It's proven that your incredibly intelligent immune system actually stripped down a bunch of garbage parts, like parts of cells that weren't functioning well, old muscle fibers, dysfunctional or diseased tissues in your organs, even parts of your pancreas or tissues of your central nervous system. And now that autophagy gobbled up all the garbage, it's time to rebuild. So remember that old saying, you are what you eat? It's never more true than when you start eating again after a fast. You're going to rebuild some key parts of your body, and you want to do that with quality materials. Your body is hungry for raw materials to rebuild billions of cells and bits and pieces in many of your organs. Evidence shows you will get best results from your fast if you refeed your body organic, plant-based whole foods for at least the same length of time that you were fasting. For instance, if you do our Flash Fast program, which is a 3-day modified fast with everything included, when you're done, you'll want to skip the nachos and beer and eat 95% greens, vegetables, fruits, legumes, whole grains, nuts, and seeds. Not more than you were eating before, just your typical amount of food or less. You'll be impressed if you do a modified fast that you're not going to be as hungry as you think you will be at the end of the fast. So after the 3 days are over, listen to your body, don't overeat, but deliver those billions of cells, high quality rebuilding or refeeding materials. Then they can build your next liver out of quality ingredients so you don't have fatty liver disease, so you don't have metabolic syndrome, so you can recover quickly from that party last weekend where you had a little too much wine. Listen, your liver is arguably the most important organ you've got, and it's also the most regenerative. So you have a lot of power in the fasting process when you fast, and then when you give your body organic plant-based whole foods afterward. When you do that, you're helping your beta cells in the pancreas become insulin sensitive again so that you keep the gains of your fast. It's like sealing in the health benefits. One of the things that's so exciting about the new research flooding in about the health benefits of modified fasting is that these studies show long-term gains if you do a modified fast for a few days once a month. Some studies show long-term gains after 6 months. Others show long-term gains after 12 months. And I'm talking about putting human patients on monthly modified fasts for just a few days. And what's really exciting is that the gains remain long-term in terms of reducing blood pressure and total cholesterol, also in terms of losing belly fat and keeping it off. So remember that the refeeding process after the fast is just as important as the fasting process itself.